This happened 10 plus years ago, so some of the details are kind of fuzzy. I wasn't a participant, more of an observer, but sadly it was my family. So my aunt, N.A., battled bowel cancer for years, but sadly she lost the battle when I was 19. Shortly before she passed, my dad, mom, sister, and myself drove the 7 hours to see her in hospice, and we were all shocked to see dad's older sister, E.A., there, as she lived 15 hours away, but she cried to my dad that she had to see her sister before she died. My dad didn't really believe her, but let it go because maybe she was telling the truth. We spent the afternoon with N.A. while she was awake until visiting hours were over. As we walked out of the room, we heard E.A. yelling at a doctor, demanding to know when N.A. would die because she had a cruise booked and she didn't want to reschedule it. I don't really remember what happened after that other than my dad losing his shit and apologizing to the doctor before dragging her out of there. For those of you wondering, EA got to go on her cruise. Sadly, NA passed a few days after she got back from the cruise. Story doesn't end there. We drove back up for the funeral. My dad was quiet the entire time. When we got there, EA was already there, having kicked my uncle out of his bedroom because she needs the big bedroom. We help arrange things for the funeral, EA complaining about how hot it is the entire time and napping. During the wake at my uncle's house, EA walked around to everyone, talking about how she still had her sea legs and what happened to her on cruise. If someone tried to talk about NA, she would redirect it back to her and her cruise. My uncle quietly asked her to stop talking about her cruise as she was making people uncomfortable, and she started screaming at him, yelling all sorts of horrible things. I can't remember exactly what she said, but I do know she ended it with telling my uncle to get the hell out of his own house. My dad told EA to either shut up or she could get out because my uncle was not leaving his own house. After that, she hid herself in the bedroom and refused to come out, so we left her there while we all went to the pub. We left the next day, but she had already gone, saying we had ruined the funeral for her. As far as I know, my dad says both his sister died and has nothing to do with her. My uncle hasn't tried to contact her either. Sadly, from what I've heard from my cousins, she hasn't changed at all, just becoming a bitter old woman who can brag about how well off she is. Even her kids don't want anything to do with her. If it didn't involve a cruise, I would swear the story was about my mother and the death of her sister, my aunt. Except also my mother is so horrible, my dying aunt wouldn't let my mother go visit her. She still got into a fight at the funeral with my uncle and made the funeral all about her instead of my poor dead aunt. The audacity she actually had to talk about a cruise at a funeral, but also had the audacity to tell the uncle to get out of his own house after kicking him out of his own room? It's infuriating. What really stuck with me was it was her own sister's funeral, but according to my dad, she always had this entitled attitude. I remember she threw a hissy fit one Christmas when my uncle showed up in a car that was nicer than hers, and she kept insisting that she was the only one that could drive his car while they were there. My uncle straight up told her no, hid the keys, and left it parked there all week. He and dad drove my dad's shitty car to spite her. EA is a pathological narcissist. They don't change, they don't lose, and they don't change. My mother is a narcissist. She's either the hero or the victim in every lie-laced story she tells. Next story. I've taken on many assignments recently. Let's call the most recent a driver for Food Dude, where I deliver food to people who order. I picked up 3 orders, and toward the end of picking up the 3rd order in a short time period, late at night, I had decided that smelling all of the fast food got me hungry for a bite. I decided that upon picking up the last one over an hour before closing, I wouldn't waste time ordering my food while picking up my last mobile. Hot food matters, plus I know how anyone this is to the drive-thru from experience, and decided I'd come back and order my own after I deliver. So I drive back to the fast food empire, and the drive-thru pipes in after a minute, and I say, "Yes, I'd like to order a..." A rudely interrupting person says, "We're only taking mobile orders right now." I explained to them that I was just here 10 minutes ago and would have ordered then if I had known I'd drive for food dude. As if this would somehow change their mind because it's mobile order adjacent or something. Then I hear a bevy of people laughing and making random comments while the main person talking repeated even more loudly, "We're only taking mobile orders right now." With the background person saying, "Oh, screw him, that's the guy who," before they disconnected the line. Enter malicious compliance. Well, luckily I have a hotspot, thank you first job, so I simply use my iPad to make another food dude order through their location for quite the feast. I was only planning on getting a big nasty and some fries, but my order now consisted of coffee, a shaky shake, fries, no salt, some of the most annoying things to put together for an order. I also, while waiting in the food drive-thru behind another bevy of cars, managed to change my name on the other food dude app as Jokes on Ulysses, which I know would, if it works like the Aloha system at my company, show up on their system as Jokes on You. I also managed to pick up my own order, seeing where my address and where I was located was the closest one. I was very thankful for this because there had to be 3 other mobile order drivers in line, any of which could have been linked with the same food delivery company. So here I go, finally inching up to the drive-thru as one of the most annoying looking people in the world. Maybe I'm biased, but this dude's trying to bring back the mushroom cut. Leans out way more than needed just to happily remind me, "Dude, we're not making anything for you. It's my turn to interrupt." Oh, it's under Jokeson, which I pronounced as Jokeson like it was an actual name. I just picked up the order in line like right now. So he huffs away and they take an insanely long time to make it, to the point I feel bad because they didn't have me pull around while 3 other cars were behind me. I even asked, "Hey, do you want me to pull around? I'm happy to wait." They just scowled and went back to making the order. They finally hand out all of the things, drinks first, and I start ripping into the items in front of there as I shift into gear. The slow realization of what just happened appeared on their faces, and I regret that I only got to see it out of the corner of my eye. TLDR, a fast food delivery service man who wants to order for himself can't because it's mobile orders only. He makes a mobile order. Edit. Thanks for all the support out there. For the record, I work fast food currently. I honestly don't know why these guys hate me. Maybe I order weird. Maybe I've driven through to the window instead of waiting the 3 minutes it usually took at this location to be recognized. Timing is everything, hot food. And I'm well aware that I'm an asshat. Thanks for all the support one way or another. You know what they say, the opposite of love is apathy. And to those who say I'm brave for calling out fast food workers when I myself work in the industry, let's just say I work for an establishment that has higher standards for how we treat our food and customers. So I guess when I see people not taking their job seriously in any way, I get the camaraderie of joking around to get through a moment after it being slammed. But this is another story based on my history with these people. Yeah, they're doing their best, but I had a long night at Mandingo, and the abruptness and rudeness was unwarranted. I'm always civil. Tonight was the final straw with being mistreated, yelling at both ends, when the place screwed up my customer's order multiple times. But I could be, and am probably wrong here. I still don't seem to really care somehow. This reminds me of a time I was in the next town over on my motorcycles enjoying a ride. My brother called me and said, "Hey, can you bring me some food?" I get there and I try to order inside, but they say drive-through only. I'm holding my helmet and in full gear. I say I don't mind waiting, but driving through and motorcycles are not the best combo. You'd have to bring my food out to me anyways. The lady goes, you can only use the drive-through. So I hopped back on my bike, ordered, got to the window, and had to get off to get out my wallet to pay. Then pulled around to the front and waited for them to bring the food out. I would have stayed in line to put it all in the back cargo pouch and racked up their time, but I felt bad for the people behind me waiting in line. The thing I really hate here is the lack of solidarity. I've made the stupid mistake of spending most of my life working restaurants and bars. And as awful as so many things are, you always treat other service workers well. They're my preferred targets for discounts, special services, extras, or wiggling on policy. They're the ones I don't mind being closed out by. They're the ones who can sneak in an order after the last call. And they're the ones who are usually the nicest and most polite guests. I hate everything about fast food staff who wouldn't hook up a polite regular driver. If they just couldn't do it, they should have said, "Yo, our POS is locked, go order on the app and get back in line and we'll make it happen." That's all it would have taken. Next story. So this happened 2 days ago and I'm debating on posting this here since I haven't posted in a while. If anyone hasn't read any of my other work posts, I work in a well-known grocery store. Not gonna name the store. I work at the service desk with all these self-scanners, a lottery, and returns inquiries are held. Everything got squished into one job a year ago, around the end or beginning of last year, 2020, 2021. It was a typical day around midday or so. I was about an hour or so into my shift. It was freezing most of the time since I live in the Midwest, and the doors to the parking lot blew in the direction of the desk. We have thick sneeze guards because of the pandemic. We implemented something since the pandemic, such as only having one entrance and one exit, instead of having both areas being entrance and exit areas. This is important. Anyways, I get this older lady, maybe late 60s or 70s, don't know, but she was definitely of a grandmotherly age. She doesn't have a mask on, but it's fine since I wear 2 masks since they're on the thinner side of paper masks, plus the sneeze guard. I ask her how she is doing and she responds to me that she has a complaint. "Are you the one I dealt with?" I said, "Yes I am, and what can I help you with?" She said that she has a complaint and she needs to do a lottery. I told her that let's get the lottery done first in case she walks away without doing it. I think she wanted to turn in lottery tickets. I honestly don't remember what lottery she won. After I get done with that, I ask her what can I help her with on her complaint. She asked me why the indoors are so far from the pharmacy and why can't we make the outdoors indoors. I tell her calmly that we can't just do that since the pandemic happened and we did that to ensure safety. Plus, if we made those indoors, that would defeat the purpose of an entire area for carts. Where are we supposed to put carts when they come in? In the outdoors? No, I can't because that area is for our office where people who got done with their shopping put their carts. Also, the space was really tiny. Enough room for 3 rows of carts. If those carts were 5 to 10 per row, plus our electric carts, sensory carts for adults, and our wheelchair cart, I also have our red box and self-lotto machines there. So no, I will not be doing that. The reasoning that she gave me that the walk from the inside was so far that she couldn't walk it since she had bad knees. I get that people of a certain age can't walk as far, and I get that, and we try to accommodate as much as possible. I mean, we even have a regular who calls into the store to bring a motorized wheelchair to his car so he doesn't have to work to retrieve it. He's in a cast and can't even walk. I tried to tell her that there were other options such as getting an electric cart that is located right by the indoors. She wouldn't let me speak, but by the time she finished ranting, I was done with her and just wanted to get her out. I was fed up with people always complaining to us workers and I was tired of people. I told her straight up that if she doesn't want to come into our store, then she can go right across the street and there's a full-on pharmacy store not 2 minutes from us. They also have to drive up if she doesn't want to get out of her car. She said, "Well, I might as well just do that then. Now will I?" I said, "Okay, and to have a nice day." There were other options, but she just wanted to have someone to complain to, even though I wouldn't be able to help her. Am I the AITA? NTA. Next time, though, ask flat out. When the customer stops for a breath, did you actually want a solution or did you just want to complain? Usually they'll stammer and stutter and say they want a solution. Well then you'll need to pause your complaining long enough for me to tell you the solution, which is, if they say they wanted to complain, then you can graciously allow them to keep going while you let your mind move on to other things. You're no longer obligated to do anything more than just be there for the complaint to be directed at. No solutions required. Sometimes it helps to call people on their behavior and just make them think about what they're doing. Nah, she vented. You listened, then offered options. She picked one. She could have been more polite during venting, but sometimes customers do become frustrated. I think overall you handled it well. Next story. I'm 18 years old. I became independent 6 months ago. The mood in mom's house was always tense. My mother is a controller. She's a helicopter mom. I work in a nice park in the center, drawing people in cartoon style. I start at 6 and finish between 9 p.m. and 11 p.m. Yesterday was a great night. I got $25 in a country with a $200 minimum salary, and I was so happy. I leave my cell phone charging at home. Of course, this was in 21% of battery. I said, well, I don't need it at work. Oh man, that was a horror. I finished at 9:30 p.m. and I went to the mail to buy some groceries. Then I was so hungry, so I went to the pizza place to eat a delicious meal. Finally, I tamed a collective taxi that follows a determined route, and they have to wait 4 passengers to go on. I was the first, so it took 30 minutes. I was okay, well, I live alone. Nobody waiting at my home's door, right? Wrong. My mother was there in the cold of winter. I arrived, and at first I didn't recognize her, but she talked in the dark. She yells about how she called me for 2 hours, and I'm a terrible daughter. I'm a transgender boy, but she invalidates that. Another reason why I left. She said that I could be AR'd, kidnapped, or killed. That revolved my mind. She really thinks that I just let her baby forever. She really thinks that I'll just let her baby me forever, and I'm stupid, and I can't be out of the bed after 9 p.m. I just ignored her and went to my house. I didn't sleep that night. I was always obedient to her orders. But something said to me, hey, you're a damn adult. You don't have to listen to her stuff. But that's for my new little heart. Thanks for reading my peroration.